Sure. I'm just going by port side. I'll explain why in a moment. He, him. Um, the reason for that is I do have a full-time job in corporate America, and if my name were attached to the kind of things I talk about, and say it wouldn't be good for my livelihood, so to speak. Hopefully, I'm not going to be in this situation forever. Hopefully, but who knows? I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate to be able to have a job. So, that's something I gotta take seriously. I gotta make that money for my corporate overlords.
Oh no, I was muted that whole time. I was just saying, yeah. Thank you for sharing. No, gosh darn it, man, that was a funny joke too. Okay.
That was good.
Gosh, I'm like so bad at this. I don't know why I even muted myself in the first place. All right, gosh darn it. All right. Portside, dude, feel free to tell us more about what you do. Be it the job serving your corporate overlords, or other leftist-related projects you do. Otherwise, feel free to start. Just let us know what kind of hobbies, etc. you do. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm sure everyone would love me to just ramble on about corporate America. I'll sort of give you the short. If I start rambling on too much, just let me know.
Don't worry, dude. We're fine. Yeah.
I grew up in a very large city in New England, second largest city in New England. Poor, single mother. I have two siblings that are younger than me. We had to be on government assistance for things like food. Like we'd literally go to a location where a box truck would drop off peanut butter and cheese and butter, and we'd use I'm not sure what the currency was at the time, if it was actual food stamps. This was in the 80s. I'm pretty old, so just bear with me here and my boomerisms. So we grew up that way. My mother, the only work she could really do with three small children in the house under, school age was to do daycare in the house for other people. So that was how she somehow managed to raise three children that all went to college and did well for themselves as a result. However, I'm only able to say this now after 42 years that I was finally in a position of privilege where I could start to try to use my influence to help other people by doing local direct action for people who need food over via the Nextdoor app. I don't know if you use that. It's kind of a mixed bag. But it's something I can do now. So what I'm trying to do, and I'm just a baby streamer. I'm not trying to get any sort of monetary benefit from this. Like I said, I'm fine for now. I'm going to be doing I'll give a little pitch for my little stream here. But I'm going to be doing artwork. I have a liberal arts degree in art, which has helped me career-wise exactly 0 times. And not just like art history, like studio art. So painting, printmaking, sculpture, very useful things in this day and age to go into debt for a 4-year degree for, It's great. So what I can do is use my knowledge of and experience as an artist to create art, raffle it off, and donate to my local Food Not Bombs shelter here in North Carolina. That's my goal. Looking a little further ahead, I'd like to start a nonprofit. doing a similar thing in more direct area than where I am right now. And, hopefully, as far as the Twitch thing goes, just spread the message. I want to push it forward. If one person can, learn something from me or take something from me in my old age boomer experience, growing up poor, and eventually it's luck. It really is. It really is, guys. It's not your education or your college. It's luck. It's luck, and it's networking, and it sucks. And I realized in about the past, I don't know, year. I think it was around the time that George Floyd got murdered. Really just dug in so hard into me. And we knew that he was going to be let go, right? We knew it. And even though he wasn't, it doesn't matter, because that's what we were all expecting. And that's the standard. I didn't really, I think a lot of people have said this in your interviews. You felt like you were always a leftist, but something just wasn't clicking. Something just had to happen. Or you just had to hear someone say something specifically or explain what is a leftist versus a liberal versus, and not just in the way that we all know it through the media. And one day I came across on my local city Discord, someone just randomly linked a Beau of the Fifth Column. I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of him. And I can't tell you which video it was, because for the next, 4 hours, I just watched all his videos. And I started to realize how he was. I know I'm not his target audience. I know he likes to bowl people over from the right. But something about him and the way he was explaining things really kind of like hit a switch in my head. And I was like, wait a minute. It's like, for lack of a better experience, and if you haven't done this, then I suppose you wouldn't know, but if you'd ever gone on an adventure before for the first time, a brand new a trip somewhere for the first time that you hadn't been before, and after that sort of realizing like, whoa, there's so much more to this than I ever could comprehend before. So that was kind of the realization that I started looking into and watching more, finding more streamers via the Surfs and Lucid Fox. And I found you randomly on a Saturday afternoon when no one else was streaming. And I was like, oh, hey, this guy's seems pretty chill. So that's sort of where I'm at. Sorry, rambling.
No, okay, no, I'll love it. Yeah, it seems like you were dipping there into your leftward bound journey, actually. I was trying to follow you, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, man.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. All right, Portside. Yeah, well, you started dipping in. Let's just make it official. Yeah, this is our little discussion about your pathway left, and you can keep chatting about anything that was relevant that you were just chatting about. You don't have to define your ideology or politics if you don't want to. You're encouraged to if you're comfortable. Okay, how about we start there? Yeah, see where it goes.
Sure. So, as mentioned previously, I grew up very poor, and we all just went to city public schools our whole lives. The city that the high school that I went to in the city, where white people were a minority. They still are. It's mostly people of color. And that's how I grew up from kindergarten until I graduated high school and went to college. So I never saw that as anything weird or like these people are different from me. When you're put in together, integrated like that at that young of an age, it just becomes, in so like natural and set in the way you operate day to day and how you interact with people, until you get to the point in your life, I guess, where racism gets pushed on you in one way or another, either from, friends whose parents are racist, or any, it's all over the place. It's built into everything, obviously, now. I realize this. So after I, got older and moved on, I realized how weird it was where I grew up. But I've lived East Coast, Southern California. Now I'm in North Carolina. I've been all over and lived in these communities for like 10 years, 20 years. I'm not that old. I'm 42. Do your math. Okay. But I realized that racism, it does exist everywhere, but it's very different in different sections of the country. In Massachusetts, where I grew up, it's very subtle in a way that you wouldn't, it's hard to explain. It's more integrated into the system, I feel like, there, making it more subtle and therefore more insidious. Okay? Southern California, there's racism against Mexicans mostly in Southern California. But they do it like blatantly racist. Like doing caricatures and that kind of thing. Like just normal people. Here in the South, where, everyone expects, like, you're in the South, it's going to be racist. It's really not on an interaction level from day to day. Not that I've seen, I mean, look, I'm a privileged white asshole talking about this, but in the South, people talk to each other more, just day to day, like walking by, saying hello. I live in a very mixed integration neighborhood. We have all kinds of people from all over, and everyone gets along great. And that's specifically why I chose to live here in North Carolina, because it was a purple state. I was living in California for a decade. California is always going to vote left. Massachusetts, where I'm from, is always going, well, not left, but Democrat.
Okay. It's like, where is this conversation going here?
Massachusetts, you're always going to vote Democrat. Okay. I have one of my siblings lives in Oregon. They're always going to vote Democrat. You know what I mean? The state. I'm talking about the states.
Sure.
So about 11 years ago, my partner and I got married in Southern California. We had no jobs, neither of us. And we got married, and we decided we couldn't start a family there. We were out of work, and it's so expensive. It's unbelievable. So we decided to move to a purple state, with North Carolina, because at the time, and this is 2010, so it's 2 years after Obama took office. And it was just at that point, the midterm election, where all the Tea Party Republicans were coming into the fray, the Ted Cruzes and Rick Santorums and all these people. And North Carolina is, obviously it's a southern state. It's historically racist. But what the GOP was able to do at that time here locally in the state was to manipulate not only the voting records and everything like that. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the whole thing was became what happened during the 2016 election. It was like a model set up for it with our local government. Okay, I'm going too far into this. This is too boring. Anyway, That being said, I moved here to a purple state to push it to the left. I mean, that's ultimately what my partner and I decided to do. And we've been here for 11 years and trying to do activism where we can and do a lot of local donations. So, as I mentioned earlier, I won't go over it again. I'm so boring.
You're great.
That time that it was around George Floyd a year ago. I found the Bo videos, and then I started just reading and watching. Not reading theory. You can't have me read theory. My goodness. I don't have time for that. But it's been quite an adventure. It's been the most life-changing experience of my up until now. I'm 42. It's like, why didn't this click any earlier? It doesn't make any sense to me, and especially the way I was raised and grew up through. It's just hidden from people intentionally.
Yeah, they often point around it, but never straight at it.
Exactly.
Fascinating to me. Okay, well, making good time here. Portside. I want to make sure we've exhausted this portion of the conversation before we move on. Portside, okay. Any other aspects of politics, be it leftist theory, thinking, anything historically, anything else personally that helped to pull your heart and mind to the left? You mentioned a couple different things, to George Floyd, Bo, the serfs, etc. What maybe there were specific things that you were convinced by? I don't know. What else is left?
Well, so I'll go back to the 2000 election, okay, which was my second time actually voting in a presidential election. However, I remember at the time I had years 2000. I had just graduated college, and I remember working in a call center, and we had televisions. We're watching the election, and for some reason, the person that won didn't get to be president. And at that point, I was just so turned off by the entire idea of politics that I basically threw it out the window for my entire 20s and 30s, to be honest with you. I didn't care. I just knew it was all bullshit and rigged, and there was nothing you could do. And I mean, I still kind of feel that desperation, but I'm just happy that I found a community that understands it, that understands things like this exist. And again, doing what I can to both locally and hopefully, on the internets.
Then moving on to the next category, #BeBest. If you would take your life, distill it into some life advice, be it just general life stuff, or also if it's leftism related, and think about going back in time, talking to a younger version of yourself, or just someone in chat.
Sure. So something I in my 20s, I was kind of on a spiritual quest of sorts. And I found something that I really connected with, and this isn't a pitch for some kind of weird new age stuff, but it was just an idea of ego, and not ego, yes, ego, but egos, plural. And it's an idea that everyone has egos inside of them, and every desire, kind of want and need, a need for attention, a need for affection, everything is kind of like its own separate ego. And if you can find the ones that are really harmful to your own personality and focus on rooting those out, I know this is so new age hippy dippy, but this is something I came across and it actually worked for me. Say, we all have friends or people that we know who are super hot-headed and just can't let the conversation end without them. No, me. I need to be the last kind of thing. That's an ego that I had when I was younger that I learned to like completely get rid of, and it's made my life infinitely better.
Okay, how do I write that down? Like, be aware of your ego. What's that movie? That Pixar movie? Pretty good.
Inside Out?
Yeah, I don't know. That's sort of what I was thinking. All right. Ego awareness. I don't know. Yeah?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, very good. I did a good job, Chet. And remember, Chet, we're going to invite your questions for Portside in just a little bit here. Let's continue then. This is great. Great advice. Excellent advice, Portside. I think people will love that. And that takes us into the Leftist Inquisition. That's right, the questionnaire. Everyone loves it. Nobody hates it. The Inquisition. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Do you have a favorite word, Portside? Oh, by the way, you could pass or skip any question for any reason.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite word?
I think it would be the word aesthetic. Because the reason I think this is because I don't know of another word in the English language that describes the word itself so perfectly. The sound of it describes what it is. Know what I mean?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
It's like aesthetic.
Yes.
It sounds like what it means. It sounds like the beauty that you make of your environment or an object.
It's like onomatopoeia in a way. Like it describes what it is.
Exactly.
All right. Then do you have a least favorite word? Portside?
Not anything specifically,
yeah.
But I really I hate really nasty slurs.
Ooh, yeah. Don't say them.
No. But when I hear that those said, like it like hits me like in my heart, kind of. You know what I mean? Oh. You feel like you took a punch. Oh. You're just like, oh, that's such a disgusting. Don't say it. Don't use slurs, people.
It's like hard to hear it without a little physical. What the?
Exactly.
All right. Do you have a favorite drug, vice, guilty pleasure, maybe, or you can name one of each?
Drug, guys, guilty pleasure. I guess drug. Nothing I can do anymore.
Yeah. Sorry.
Vice, I'd say vaping. I make my own vape juice.
Vape juice, yeah?
But yeah, I smoked cigarettes for, like 15 years since I was like a teenager. And about 10 years ago, vaping helped me stop. But unfortunately, I still do that now. It's way less worse than carcinogenic cigarettes. What was the third one?
Maybe a guilty pleasure. Vice, guilty pleasure. Yeah.
Call of Duty, baby.
Yeah. Which one? What's your flavor?
Right now, I mean, it's all about the war zone.
All right.
That's all there is. The battle royale. Once battle royale came to Call of Duty, I was just like, yes, man, perfect.
I still like Black Ops 2. I love all those maps dearly.
I think the breakthrough was Call of Duty 4.
Yeah?
The first Modern Warfare. When you played that online with people, it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Just lobbing frags all over the place.
I'm a big fan of just a tomahawk throw across the map. Here we go. We'll see what happens. You get one every now and then.
Yeah, man. They bounce off stuff.
Let's check that replay. Oh, totally worth it. All right. Then, Portside, is there a sound or a noise that you love?
There is, and I haven't heard it in over half my life, and that's sad. I don't know. You're in the Chicagoland area, so this may or may not have applied to your childhood. Same with you, Chad. I don't know where y'all are. When I was a kid, though, we played a lot of pond hockey or hockey on a lake.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a sound that ice skates make on a lake or a pond that they don't make inside. You hear this like amazing, like high pitched, but somehow not offensive sound. And you just hear it kind of resonate through the ice. And I've never heard anything like that. And I haven't heard it since I was a teenager. So.
That's a beautiful sound. That's a very unique pick. Points for originality there, and I feel like I might be vaguely aware what that sounds. It sort of like spreads in like in every direction, like in stereo. It's cool, right?
Yeah, and it's something being out there, of course, with the smell and the freezing cold and your friends playing hockey. It's a distant memory, my friend, a distant memory.
Do you have a least favorite noise or even one that you hate?
I do. And it's the sound of bones breaking.
Huh. Oh. Have you heard that often?
Yeah, I have.
Oh. Why often?
I played rugby in college.
Oh, that's a fucking dangerous sport. You're so exposed. Usually, I heard usually people are pretty safe about it though. Like they sort of learn that you don't have pads. It's not like football. Don't hit each other so hard. But
yeah,
no.
you do. There's definitely, that it's a whole different physics compared to football because, like you mentioned, you do not have pads. So there's a whole different technique to it. But if those who are familiar with it, and the single worst sound I've ever heard in my life was one of my teammates' femur snapping. And the gut-curdling scream that came afterwards. It's like in my brain forever, and there's nothing I can do to get it out. It sounds like a piece of celery. Like, I'm sorry, everyone.
Okay, everyone, shake that one off. Disgusting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I don't remember where you said you were raised. Remember this question. If you were raised in France or Wisconsin, you get more than one guess. Otherwise, you only get one answer to this, not guess, but one answer to this question, which is, what's your favorite cheese? Cheese.
Like favorite or most? No, I guess most used definitely isn't favorite. I'm going to go with a good smoked Gouda.
Yes. Yeah.
And if anyone has ever been to a Publix, they make unbelievably delicious sandwiches, and you can get smoked Gouda sliced and put on your sandwich. And I've never seen that anywhere else in my entire life.
There you hear it, kids. Smoked Gouda at Publix. This is a free paid advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
We just
also, fuck Publix. Don't go there.
Yeah. And they owe us $20. That seems fair. Okay. Okay. Now we're at reincarnation. Portside. If you came back as a plant or a non-human animal and somehow you were given the ability to choose, what would it be?
This is a good one. It's a bar-headed goose.
Okay, what? Yeah.
A bar B-A-R hyphen
goose.
Headed goose. And they're one of the birds that can fly the highest. And the reason why I think they're super cool looking, by the way, but their yearly migration goes over the Himalayan mountains. So twice a year they get to fly over the Himalayan mountains from one area to another. And they're super cool looking.
It's a good looking goose, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, baby.
Y'all ever see a better goose?
That's the kind of goose I want to be.
That's a goddamn handsome goose. All right, that is the correct answer, actually. Well Yeah. Well, let's say at the end of your life, you go to heaven. You go to the pearly gates. There's God. God says some stuff. What would you like God to say to you?
Fucking sorry about that, bro. What else could you really say?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty good one. Then let you please name an influential leftist, be them dead or alive, that you would like to meet.
All right. I would like to meet communist card-carrying Pablo Picasso.
Oh, use a communist. Okay, go. Go on. Tell
did
me,
everyone not know? Yeah, he was Spanish, and he fled the Spanish Civil War and went to France. And until the time of his death in 1974, was a card-carrying communist and was loved by not only the Soviet Union but other communist countries most of the time until he started getting into his more controversial work, Guernica, and then became like a kind of a political lightning rod for the communist movement. Not a lot of people know that, obviously, but I'd like to meet him. I'd like to sit down and have a long afternoon conversation with the man.
Okay, well, given the chance, what would that conversation go like? You had a hypothetical, you have the chance to have a hypothetical conversation. Perhaps you could talk about yourself and they could tell you what they think. Maybe you can ask Picasso what they're thinking about the world as it is today. Maybe you have a specific question or just general thoughts, and feel free to, if you heard their hypothetical response, what might that be?
I'm not really sure what I would ask him. I'd more want to just sort of like be a fly on the wall and follow him around like a crazy stalker. To just not only like watch his painting process, who I was significantly influenced by, but to, just, I mean, it's an amazing story. Painting and the reason I went to school for art, which was completely delusional, used to be, and you're a musician, you understand this too, like these used to be careers that were highly like respected during the Renaissance and during other areas. And now they're completely like useless. Like, what school hasn't cut its art program or its music program, or if anything, they're really into sports, so the football team gets a stadium renovation or something, but nothing. The arts have been almost rendered worthless. You know what I mean? And it's sad. But it kind of is what it is at the same time. I mean, now we have NFTs, so who cares about art? We can just make an NFT of a piece of art, and then that's going to be worth more than anything ever was anyway.
Awesome. I think what could go wrong, right?
Nothing. It's perfect capitalism.
Perfect. Perfection. Love it. Okay. Now, I think I usually skip this next one. The next question is then, do you have a favorite leftist book or author, resource, etc.?
Not really, since I'm still just this baby leftist over here. I'm just kind of trying to take everything in as efficiently but as quickly as I can, because I want to know everything about it. So honestly, I mean, watching streams, watching you, watching other people who are in the leftist community, over time, and without this pandemic, this wouldn't have happened to me, but I work from home every day, and then I have my own computers and my own stuff. So I'm just like, work's just one laptop screen over there in the corner where I do have to do stuff sometimes. But, I've just spent the last year just taking it in, like pulling in everything I can and learning. I love learning so much, and that combined with that click, that Bo got me. God damn it, Bo. It's just been so exciting, and I love the communities. I love how everyone is welcoming and not they don't put people down within the community. I think that's super important. When I grew up with the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, you know, when communities started forming, whether it would be car communities or whatever, you know, the initial attitude of the internet was to be complete dicks to each other for some reason. And it's only in retrospect that I realized that, but it was like everyone just had to shit on everyone else to own them. And I feel like a lot of that still goes on today. But this community, it's very well at self-policing the kind of toxicity out of itself. That's what I find really impressive about it, and love it. I love you guys. You're the best.
I appreciate that, and of course, somehow I keep muting myself. One thing I love to do is sort of bridging that gap between the chat and you know, the creatorship, and this is always fascinating. By doing this, I open myself up to way more interesting chats than not, and I appreciate you being willing to jump on and jump at the opportunity. Thank you, Portside.
Let's go.
Yeah. So what's up next? Do you have any streamer tips? You're a viewer of streams. You literally have like a good little streaming setup over there yourself. You got a good mic and a good look back there. But you know, what streamer tips do you have as someone who's streaming? Maybe they're a beginner, maybe they're a veteran. What would you say?
Just do it. Sponsored by Nike. No. No, I'm not a good person to be giving advice in this area at this time in my life. I'll be honest with you. I'm super neurotic when it comes to AV equipment. I'm kind of an audiophile kind of person, so I like super obsess about. Ready for the callback. Aesthetic. Ooh. I obsess about aesthetic. So if something's not right, or if I don't like the way something looks or sounds or does, I'm not comfortable doing it. And this setup took me a long time to try to pull together and figure out what works and what doesn't work, and lighting and all that stuff. And that was my neurosis with the whole process. Other people can just, stream from their phones and get a million people in there, and that's cool. I'm too neurotic, so don't be neurotic. There you go. Just turn it off like that. You can just do it. Neurotic no more. Yeah,
it looks so good though. I'm not gonna lie. You got this like natural little setup. It looks like you just set the phone up in this really cute part of your apartment, and it was totally just happenstance. But yeah, it also goes to show folks it takes some fucking work to achieve a look like this. This looks so good. I love your look.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's hard too because this is the only south-facing window in my house. Oh, right. So, all my plants have to be in here. I mean, it's how it goes.
I was going to say I should get some plants, but then they would not work. Okay. All right. Well, that was wonderful advice. Nevertheless, really good stuff in there. Excellent stuff. So, Portside, what we can do is give the chat some time to whip up some questions for you, if they have any. Oftentimes they don't. I just want to.
No problem. Yeah, man. Let's go. What do you want to know about corporate America? I know I teased you all so hard with that.
What do I want to know about corporate America? Like, what the fuck, dude? Just what the fuck? That's all I got. Otherwise, this is for you to ask me questions. I've been drilling you this entire time, Portside. Yeah.
Come on.
What?
There was barely a drill in there.
Some people find it to be pulling teeth. So I guess it's not exactly drilling. But no, after this we can sort of dig into what's grinding your gears. It seems like we have plenty of time left. I'm not currently seeing questions from chat. So do you want to do that? Do we want to talk about what's grinding your gears? Is it corporate America?
Capitalism.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I mean, yeah.
Portside, what is grinding your gears?
I'll tell you, capital in little side here. This kind of coincided with the other million things in my life to make me realize that I was a leftist. I remember my first job back in the 90s. I went to work at a local grocery store, and the position was advertised as a cashier. And I was like 15 or 16, and you have to go and get a work permit. You have to pay someone so you can go work for someone else for slave labor. And I get to the grocery store on the first day as a cashier, and this supervisor, manager, asshole person, whatever, just basically gave me like a ladder, like a roll of those shitty paper towels that were in your high school bathroom, and like a bottle of Windex. And he's like, climb up on top of the shelves and clean all the tops of the shelves. And there was like a ½ inch of dust on everything. And this was my first day at any job ever. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I'm supposed to be a cashier. Why am I like with the worst paper towels? And I never went back after that. I was like, fuck that. That job sucks. I'm going to find a job that I like. And all these years later, you know what job I found that I like? None of them. And it wasn't because I wasn't finding the right job. It was because capitalism fucking sucks, and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that I was just being taken advantage of my entire life, my entire working life. And now I'm at the point where, like, well, now I know this. So if I lose my job, I literally don't believe that I could even fake in an interview to want to work for another corporation. Like, oh yeah, I really want to work here. Please, please let me work here. I want to make you money while you exploit me. So I don't know. That may be a problem going forward, but we'll see.
All right, absolutely. It's something, I don't know. It was a tweet. Someone's like, they often, you're often asked throughout your life, what's your dream job? And I don't have a dream job. I don't dream of having a job.
Exactly.
I dream of not having a job.
And
you want to ask about my dreams?
It was funny, again, aging myself here, but a few years ago, I was at my 20-year high school reunion. Yeah. Still working the job that I am at now. I've been here for like 8 years. And I was talking with a friend that I hadn't seen since high school. And she's like, oh, I'm a director of, it's like she was like a researcher or something crazy like that. And I was like, oh, and she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm just working some shit corporate job. If I tried to explain to you what it was, you'd fall asleep. She's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, what do I want to do in corporate America? Is that what you're asking? Or you mean like, I don't want to do any of it. Yeah. I just want to go, live in the woods and build a community for free to people come live in huts and tents and whatever. That's what I want to do, but you can't do that, You
can't? You can't? I'm asking.
I mean, to what extent, I guess? If people find out, you might be in trouble for violating local ordinances, like not having running water.
Oh. Well, I guess so. I don't know. I'm just saying, give it a shot. That's your dream.
We'll see. I do want to buy land, but at the same time, now it in my head that just seems so shitty. It seems like a shitty, unless you're going to, use it to give back to people, like I mentioned. But I mean, legally and how much it would cost, even in, I know every state has different building codes and whatnot. And say if you were able to get a spot in West Texas, which Texas has like no building codes, and you get a big plot of land, and then, I mean, if you're going to make an area for anyone who needs to come and have shelter, you're going to need running water. You're going to need electricity. You're going to need plumbing for waste disposal and stuff. Otherwise, you're just basically housing a third world country where people just go in the bathroom, crazy. You need to be able to do that. And the cost, even to that super, super, super as cheaply as possible, is still way more than, anyone's obviously willing to do at this point. But
we have one question in the chat that I'm noticing, which is, what's your favorite plant? A couple there in the background. Yeah.
The cannabis plant.
Hey,
a beautiful plant. There's just so much range and diversity to the flowers of that beautiful plant. It's limitless. The beauty is limitless.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a perfect note to end things there, courtside. I've enjoyed the chat so very much with you. I think we've planted speaking of plants, we planted some really good seeds. And of course, the idea is that we come back and we return and we see what's been grown and what new plants new seeds we want to plant, etc. And then we just sort of continue the cycle. Now that we've gotten the formalities out of the way, we'll be able to just ditch the format and just have a real chat, as it were.
I love it. I love it, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Thanks, chat. I appreciate you looking at my dumb face for an hour.
Well, thank you very much, Portside. Again, we've invited you in the spirit of building leftist unity, strength, and power. In that same spirit, you've been a wonderful guest. Peace and solidarity. See you next time.
Peace out.
All right. Oh, that's okay. I'll fix that. That was Portside Chat. Look at us. Look at us. I've got a drill bit made of bunnies. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.